Good morning. Welcome back to another edition of my glamorous lifestyle. Last night I boondocked just outside of a Walmart parking lot. Today, hopefully going to get about 6 miles from the border with Colorado. This place, campground called 6 Mile Gap, which would be about 85 miles. Winds look really bad, I'll be honest, according to the data that I have right now. So 85 miles may or may not be achievable today. But as usual, I'm loaded up on calories. I've got plenty of water. I'm just packing up my tent and yeah, ready to get out there and get through Colorado. Headed down the ramp onto I-80. This is a real interstate. Apparently cyclists are allowed out here. The shoulder's supposed to be quite wide though, so all this traffic isn't really too much of a concern. Yes, officer. The computer told me it was fine if I rode my bike here. Gotta practice that one. Well, we're here. We're going into a headwind on an interstate. I was told this would be part of the experience, but I've got just the stuff to combat this bad mood. Lots of sugar, and I'm actually gonna listen to some music on this bit, so it'll help me along on this tedious treadmill of interstate. Well, the wind isn't totally against me. I'm going straight that way. Wind's going kind of that way. Today's been a little bit more athletically challenging. I'm going to put out a lot of power to get out here. I think I'm at mile 36 or so on the day, and it's about 1 o'clock. I'm just going to keep eating and keep going forward. Wind isn't that fun to deal with, but I am really enjoying this nice wide shoulder and this relatively mild heat. And the music and sugar, take you anywhere. Ran into my requisite one westbounder today. David, he just kind of asked me about what was going on coming up, what to do for bears. Gave him my bear spray. So the bear spray baton has been passed yet again. Yeah, it's always so cool running into people who are traveling the same path or similar paths. You know, it's kind of weird. It's like this community of a few hundred people who are just out on this road, and we just run into each other once, we say hey, and then we pass on information, you know? And there's something really beautiful about that, just this like network of people who are just passing by each other and sharing a common experience. All right, found a little shade right outside of encampment, this place called Riverside. Picked up the requisite sugar and caffeine for the next little bit here. So it's 25.4 miles between here and where I'm planning to camp. It's a little bit of a push for me right now. I've been going into the wind all day and I'm feeling a little bit athletically worn down. But a couple of reasons why I want to do that. One, I want to get away from the roads for camping. The last couple of nights, it's just been so loud and I haven't slept well. And then the other is that it really makes it so I don't have to do super high mileage for the next 4 days as I'm doing some real elevation, trying to get into Pueblo by a specific date. And this makes it a little bit easier to spend the last couple hours of my day cranking out a few more miles. It's only 3:35, so plenty of daylight, plenty of time. And, you know, I might get lucky and the wind might even be a little bit helpful on this last bit. So we'll see. I've turned a literal and metaphoric corner. This is basically the direction of Colorado. Wind is just lightly to the side, but mostly at my back. Just feeling so good. Do you guys know that riding your bike not into a headwind is actually a great time? Honestly, just kind of inspired to ride into the evening a little bit now. Just enjoying it so much. This area is just absolutely beautiful. All right, so here's the turn for where I was planning to stay tonight. Although, you know, this line on my map has just been taunting me. I gotta get into Colorado now. So there's a spot, a city, Warren, or small town, Warren, 26 miles from here, Marathon. I've got this fantastic tailwind. I've got a few more hours of light. I think I'm just gonna do it. So that'll put us at like 110 on the day. But yeah, I'm just feeling great now that I've got this better wind situation. So yeah, I'm just gonna do it. You know, when you feel good, do it. If you don't. And right now, I'm having fun. So I'm gonna stay out here. Just like that, we're in Colorado. Only 9 miles out of Walden. I think I may have mistakenly referred to it as Warren a bit back, but yeah, I called their sheriff, let them know I'd be in their park for the night, and they were totally cool and appreciative. And I just can't believe how nice this riding is right now. Got 9 miles, just gonna enjoy this sunset. I'm lit up. Just got some bugs coming in my face, but other than that, really beautiful time. Just now waking up. Slept until about 8 o'clock. Did that for 2 reasons. 1, I'm pretty tired for obvious reasons. And 2, it's much chillier up here. So I wanted to wait till it was out of the 40s before I got up. Yeah, slept really, really well. This was a nice change of pace from the noisy spots I've been landing at. This park is wonderfully quiet. Today's plan, I'm still deciding, but there's a place called Hot Sulphur Springs. It's 61 miles from here that one of the westbounders that I ran into really recommended as a place to go sit in some warm water. And as the weather's cooler up here, and as I'm getting dirtier and dirtier, it's hard for me to think of a more logical move than a slightly shorter day that ends with me sitting in some warm water. So that's on my mind. That would slow down my pace a little bit, but I also think it would be a good trade-off. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just taking a quick snack break on my way out of Walden. Winds aren't great, traffic's a bit heavy, and there's not really a good shoulder on this road. So I'm hesitating to do much filming while I'm riding, just because when you don't have shoulder, you can't really put your camera anywhere. But yeah, I don't know, weather's pretty beautiful, and we've only got 65 miles today, so not too concerned, but enjoying my snack break. One, check out this expanse. I mean, this is just gorgeous. 2, This road's pretty mediocre. No shoulder, lots of cracks. And I'm also battling some wind that's not so great. Check the map. Got about 10 more miles of uphill, and then the rest of the profile for the day is downhill. So that seems pretty manageable. Still a lot more work than I was really hoping to do today, but the winds have been shifting kind of in my direction, so yeah, no complaints. Just had a bunch of sugary snacks and refilled my water, so yeah, I think things are looking up. About a quarter mile to the top of that hill. It's about 6 miles, 1,500 feet. Man, I prefer climbing over pushing into a headwind by so much. Just took a leak up here at the Continental Divide. That way it'll go 50-50 into the Pacific and Atlantic. So I'm descending down the other side of that hill, and I'm just still getting slammed with a headwind. This whole day has just required so much extra energy from me. Basically out of water, got like 15-20 miles to go. I think that'll be okay, but yeah, just a reminder, you gotta respect even days that you think are kind of short, because if you get unfavorable winds, it just takes so much more energy. Made it to Hot Sulphur Springs. It's a little past 6. I was on the bike over 7 hours to go 61 miles today. Yeah, that's pretty punishing. But, you know, that's how this stuff works. Sometimes it's punishing, and then at the end of the day, the drink tastes all the better. Whoa, dude, you're looking pretty indoors and clean. Yeah, I know. This wasn't really what I was expecting for my evening either. So I checked out the camping option here at Hot Sulphur Springs, and it was completely full. And there was like the guy who just wanted to talk, and it was really hard to get away from him, kind of one of those scenarios. Then I filled up my water bottle somewhere else because they didn't have water at the campground, and then I rode down 2.5 miles to another spot, which was also full, Saturday night. And then when I rode back here, I was like, you know, I could find a spot on the side of the road, or I could, you know, pay a little bit of money and have like a shower and trim my beard and like charge my stuff. And honestly, just kind of recuperate from today's somewhat demoralizing ride. So I'm going to go treat myself to a nice meal down the street. And, yeah, I'm just having a little vacation within the vacation within the vacation, to kind of, you know, keep the fun meter high enough that this is worthwhile. Today was obviously pretty tough on the bike, but I think it's a really important skill to know how to kind of balance like, oh, this was uncomfortable with like, okay, and now here are things that I find pleasurable or I enjoy, kind of bring things up overall. So I'm feeling pretty excited to just go get myself a burger and a beer. And also that's thunder and lightning outside. It seems like whenever I pick a expensive hotel option, it always pays off weather-wise. So yeah, that's my plan for the evening. Gonna go get myself a burger and a beer, just really enjoy that, and then come back and probably do a little bit of editing, get caught up on some work. So yeah, I sometimes wish I dirtbagged a little harder, but sometimes just copping out and buying some indoors for the night is it's an enormous luxury and privilege to be able to do. So that's what I'm doing tonight. Morning from this hotel room in Hot Sulphur Springs, Colorado. Today the plan is to go to Breckenridge, and
I was kind of not wanting to go to Breckenridge because it really doesn't sound like the sort of place that I could just throw down a tent and sleep. Not that interested in spending hotel money twice in a row. But there's a hostel called the Bivouac, that I think is like going to cost a total of like $45 to be in like a shared dorm room sort of thing. I can lock my bike away in a gear room and just sleep in a bunk. Not my favorite. I'm really not looking forward to it. But the reason I'm doing this is that today is all uphill. We're going on basically the biggest climb of the trip today. And I could extend to 100 miles to get to a hostel that's a little bit further down the road. But 70 miles of uphill in maybe a headwind again, that sounds like a lot. So I'm just going to do that. Kind of funny thought I'm having as I'm packing up is that living indoors feels really chaotic. This is too much space for me right now. I know how to pack up my tent from within my tent, and by the time I stand up, I'm ready to roll. There's a lot of surfaces in here to put things and misplace things. So just kind of an observation from like, I don't know, a couple weeks mostly in a tent.
Having a lovely Sunday morning out here. I think I've just got a light tailwind. I mean, anything other than like an oppressive headwind or crosswind I'll take, but yeah, vibes are just a lot better today. Got about 32 miles in, it's 11:30, so I'm almost halfway to Breckenridge. Yeah, just feeling good. Really enjoying the views of the mountains. And this whole area is just so scenic. Looks like I might be riding into a little bit of weather as we get into Breckenridge. No big deal. I'm headed into a hostel anyway, so if I show up drenched, it's not really going to matter. Yeah, the thing that I'm thinking about out here is like the diversity of paths and roads that I've taken on this trip. You know, like just a couple days ago, just blasting along in the middle of absolutely nowhere in Wyoming, trucks and everything. And today, like rich ski communities with crazy bike paths. Just so cool. Okay, so we're getting rained on a little bit right at the end. Still having a great time out here though. Just walking back to the hostel from dinner. Had some wonderful tacos here. Yeah, just kind of having a good time hanging out with people here in Breckenridge. There's some cool hiker types, climber types at the hostel. People at the taco bar were a lot of fun. So yeah, just kind of enjoying. I realized while I was eating my tacos that this is really a high point in the trip, both kind of, you know, emotionally, in that it's basically halfway and I'm going to hang out with some friends for a while in Denver. And it's also like physically, you know, I'm at 9,600 feet right now, and it's just going to be a little bit more climbing tomorrow morning and then downhill, you know, basically to Pueblo, which is the actual halfway point. So yeah, it's kind of a fun thought. This place is lovely. I love it here. What a high point. Last night's stay at the Bivy Hostel. Met some lovely people, had some wonderful conversations over coffee this morning. Just so much fun connecting and relating to people. You know, that's a huge part of this adventure for me. Wow, this climb is terrifying. Just no shoulder, lots of traffic, just insanely high elevation. Kind of proud of my ability to climb this hard at this altitude, but it's motivated by fear, man. Well, we're here at the Continental Divide again. This one's really the top, actually, 11,500 feet. I think this is the highest I've been on a bike. And yeah, I mean, the air's pretty thin, but honestly, the climb felt athletically pretty healthy. So, I mean, all this crazy altitude training of the last several weeks has really been paying off. Quite happy with how my body felt. Was pretty sketchy at the beginning, but started to open up a little bit at the top, and now I've got about 80, 90 miles of downhill dropping back down to 4,000 feet today. All right, taking a quick break here in Alma. Little town up here. I think elevation's about 10,500 feet. You know, you guys know by now, but celebrating with a little coffee. Not reading though. I don't think I've got the oxygen to comprehend the complexity of Kenkisi right now. So yeah, happy to be here. I mean, rest of my day's descending, so you really can't complain about that. Funny thing happens when your brain's in descending mode. It just becomes incredibly offended by the idea of climbing. And there have been you know, a few hills to climb kind of in the middle of the day, but I see the crest, I think, at the end of my climbing for the day, and literally the rest of the day, like 45, 50 miles is descending. So just kind of working through that emotionally. Normally I wouldn't complain about this amount of climbing, but today's supposed to be all downhill, you know? This descent has been really nice. Just this long, winding valley road. Mostly just coasting between, like, I don't know, 25 and 35 miles an hour pretty comfortably, not putting a lot of power in. Yeah, big fan. This area is just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm still at 7,200 feet, so we'll be doing this for a while. Wow, that was kind of a rough end to the day. The road into this place that I'm staying at, Florence, was quite bad, like extremely tiny shoulder, and it was kind of like rush hour traffic. I got a flat on the way in, which I was thinking about filming, but then I was like, I'm right on the edge of this road, like I just got to take care of this as fast as possible. And while I was working on that flat, I discovered that my rack is actually broken. So one of the stanchions that basically holds up the rack from, like, you know, where the wheel connects to the frame is actually basically broken in half. And so now I've got kind of like, you know, three points of contact as opposed to 4. And that's a little freaky. I've got 41 miles to go into Pueblo tomorrow, and then from Pueblo I'm going into Denver. So you know, I think I'm just going to have to limp it in, be really, really soft on that thing, make sure I don't apply any twisting, don't stand up while I climb or anything. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So that was a little bit tough. And then I got my hands all dirty and had to look around to find a place to clean them. And yeah, just the vibes have been a little bit off. But I did get 106, 107 miles in today. We're just an easy morning away from Pueblo, which is super exciting. Good morning. Just getting ready to do a little bit of morning riding before I take off. Today's a really big day. We're going to halfway on the route, so I will have ridden over like around 2,100 miles by the time I get to Pueblo today. In Pueblo, I'm going to get picked up by my friend. Very kind of him to come swoop me from Denver, and then I'm going to hang out in Denver for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. And the plan is to wait for my friends Ash and Becky to get to Pueblo. They're a couple days behind me, and then we'll meet up and ride through Kansas together. Just a few miles outside of Florence. These roads are all right. Got a little tailwind. I like that. But what I don't like is the issue that I'm having with this rack. So this thing basically is just broken. Like, it's not really holding any weight. And you know, this rack's got other attachment points, you know, on down there and up here. And I've tested it by just completely unloading this, taking this off basically. And it doesn't look like the rack or anything's gonna fail really quickly if that happens. But it's really scary to have stuff so close to my spokes that are kind of flailing around. So, you know, it's only under 40 miles to go. It's a climb and then a descent, and I'm just gonna really baby it, like really try to reduce the amount of swaying that I do on the bike. Yeah, not my favorite, but I think this is kind of what I got to do today. It's a really unfortunate way for this to fail. Yeah, just due to fatigue. It's aluminum. There's a tiny little edge distance for where they drilled a hole, and yeah, it failed because I, you know, cycled it a lot of times by riding the bike. Here in Wetmore, just checked the map, and we actually just made it to the top of the hill. So I'm feeling pretty good about our odds, because the rocking back and forth thing is really something that happens when I climb and not as much when I descend. So hopefully this thing will hang in there and I'll get into Pueblo this afternoon. All right, kind of starting my final descent into Pueblo, just wrapped up the last hill of this leg. Yeah, this is so cool. I mean, I'm like 7 miles out of being halfway across the country on a bike. All right, at the dog park in Pueblo, of all places. I just stopped here because there's a restroom that I just kind of was able to spruce myself up in a little bit because things are getting a bit grungy. But yeah, as a little recap on Colorado, you know, this last week was a little bit harder. The sleep wasn't very good. There's a lot of noise in a lot of the places I slept. And yeah, I did over 20,000 feet of elevation gain in this last week. And that was actually really fun, but the road surfaces were a little tricky. So overall, beautiful scenery, really kind people, good drivers in Colorado. Found it just a little bit more challenging than the previous states that I've been through, but also super happy to be here. I'm gonna take about a week, a little bit less than a week in Denver, just kind of chill out and recuperate. Next week is gonna be Pueblo into Kansas, and for comparison, we just did 20,000 feet of elevation gain this week. This coming week, we're gonna do 2,000. So I'm really interested to see what the second half of this journey, the kind of straight line to the East Coast, contains. Should be fun.